Just do because here's the time.
Good.
How's it going? I know.
Hello, I'm Steven.
I'm Jeff, and you're watching a little show called How Did You Get There? A show where we can be critical of thoughts, ideas, opinions, and beliefs, but not necessarily the people that hold them. These opinions are ours, and more generally, that is not to say that you can just we're not getting away with the subjectivization of our opinions. Please call us out on our opinions. Question them, hold them to a big bright light, and make them say what you need them to say.
So very specifically today, I'm going to invoke a notion called academic freedom.
Ooh, yeah, fair. Good call. Safety.
Yeah, this is my safety call. I will say some things that I believe myself to be qualified by nature of my academic employment to make fair comment on and to investigate. Still, my opinion, I will stand by it, and I'm willing to be corrected, but hey, my employer, don't fire me when I say some things that may or may not be controversial.
There you go.
Chances of them being controversial, very slim.
At least on this occasion. So the difference today is normally I won't just a co-host, but today he's also a guest. And so as I would do with most guests in this capacity, what's the CV? Why are you my guest today?
Hey, thanks for having me. Thank us for having me on this show today.
For sure.
So I am an instructor at Lethbridge Polytechnic, and I am also a PhD candidate at the University of Lethbridge in the area of artificial intelligence.
Cool.
The fancy degree name is PhD in Theoretical and Computational Science.
Ah, very good.
It's a fun name, which really doesn't say what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, my particular passion in artificial intelligence at the moment is humor appreciation and modeling the way that humans get the joke.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's incredibly important for a number of reasons, not the least of which is my belief that we will be co-creating and co-running the world with computerized intelligences. And if you've ever had the opportunity to work with that one humorless employee and know how painful that can be, I want to avoid that with our constant side-by-side companions, because it'll just make our lives better. If I jokingly ask my computer to do a thing, and it can't detect that I've made a joke and respond appropriately in appropriate measure, we're going to have some problems because humans say ridiculous things all the time. So, I mean, that's my sort of positive AI related altruistic reason for doing this. Mostly just because I want to see if it can be done. I have discovered along my way of doing this that there is some correlation, at least psychologists have told me in their writing, that there is some correlation between the way our brains process humor and the way our brains process anxiety. And I figure if we can model the one, we could model the other, and then maybe we can work on assistance for people with anxiety and practice on a model rather than practicing on actual anxious people at the risk of making them,
more anxious.
Worse.
Yeah.
If I had to, top up my CV here at all, or my resume, because I'm not going to give you every little thing in the course of my life, my curriculum vitae. Pardon my poor Latin pronunciation. I have been a software developer for about 20 years before starting at the now Polytechnic, where I've been for 12 years. And I have been reading science fiction since I was probably about 7, where I first encountered Isaac Asimov with a series of short stories, I, Robot, which probably is the triggering point for me going, oh, cool, computery things can do this stuff.
Yeah. Positronic brain.
There's a and there's a ton of things wrong with Isaac Asimov's 3 Rules of Robotics. But if there weren't problems with it, he couldn't have written the great stories, right? The whole purpose of the whole thing about the 3 laws of robotics is they're broken, and so we can have good stories about how they're broken.
Reward hacking. Look at me, know a word.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do VLTs work? Because the 3 laws of humanics are broken.
Yep.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
I made that all up. That's not really a thing.
But that's sort of the point, is that many of his best stories are how the machines find the way around those rules.
Yeah.
Right?
Or are constrained in some awkward way to follow those rules.
And that's why he tried to build it into their brain so that without those rules, the brain would turn off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, that makes people feel very comfortable, right? So, yeah, so that's me.
That's excellent.
In a nutshell.
So part of this is a topic we've been asked to discuss. I think I was pushed right over the top when I hear others discuss those in your profession being unethical purposefully at worst and just benignly unethical at best. Like you just don't care, just not even looking at the ethics portion of this. I am tearing down this mountain because this mountain can be torn down.
Yeah, not antipathy, but apathy.
Yeah.
Ethical apathy.
True. We're just like not, uncaring.
I have no care about the ethics, or maybe as opposed to antipathy, where it's like I actively care against the ethics.
Which there might be that.
Maybe.
But I think that's such a minority of a percentage.
You could slap that on anybody, and quite often we will slap that on the people who run, let's go big anything in the colloquial, like so big pharma, big oil, big ag, big
whatever's. Yeah, John Deere, Monsanto. Yeah.
You
pick a big.
Point at one of these bigs, and corporately, if we can deduce that, at least by law, a corporate entity is an entity under the law. They have no care.
Yes, that is true.
Ethics is not part of their reward system.
No, the constitutionalized quarterly reports are.
Yeah, so if anyone were to suggest that all AI researchers and developers were amoral or immoral or aethical, it's got to be a better way to say it. Ethicalist.
Ethicless.
Unethical. Well,
yeah, I guess otherwise it just sounds like you don't believe in supernatural because you're ethical.
I'm diethical.
Ethical?
I get my ethics mixed up all the time. I'm diethic.
Nice.
I would say I don't think that you can paint us all with the same broad brush. Like, I like to think that I am mindful, demure, if you are like behind on TikTok trends.
Sorry, is demure a new TikTok thing?
Yeah, there was somebody who was doing makeup and was talking about putting on her makeup so that she could play the part at work, and she was very mindful, very demure.
Ah, gotcha.
And then that sort of kicked off and then quickly died off.
Yeah, very good.
Because the algorithm caused it to uptick for a while. Because the algorithm knows things.
That's an interesting thing. So that's actually part of what I was thinking about, in that we have all of these names, things, pluralizations. For example, in say the late 19th century, early 20th century, we had like a name for every kind of personality, and it had a medical thing. That person is happy.
What moron comes up with that?
Right. And it goes on for years and years and years and years and years. But every now and then they're like, you know what? These two things are a little like this thing. And these two things are a little like this thing. So this is me building the ethic model for AI. And so eventually we have what are lightly contested, but not hardly contested, the big five, they call it.
Okay.
And that's and they should be like type A, type B, type C, and then how that qualifies. But they've named them things like introvertedness or neuropathy, or no, being neurotic. There's big five. Yeah. I forget what they all are. And basically, though, the gist of that is these 5 things have enormous predictive capability. They're really good. Like if you do the things based on the 5 things,
we can make strongly predictive.
Very much so. And that started with this like wide open array of things. And so if I understand correctly, one of the things we can do, or is being attempted to do, maybe might be one of the groups that tried this, is to make an alignment, a moral alignment, so that our AI will align with human morals. And one of the obstacles given was there's a broad variety of humans and they each have different morals and ethics. And so to that, the solution presented by a psychologist into a field that he knows nothing about is, we used to have hundreds of words to describe all these little things. So we came up with 5 really good predictive ones. And now we can build back out from there. So maybe in our ethical modeling, he suggests, because he just does he's a brain guy and can make great comparisons between neurons and nodes, and anyway, layers and layers. And so
like
he's,
an onion.
Yeah,
we're a parfait.
We're a parfait.
Everybody loves parfait.
How can you not? So to come up with those root things, like I'm pretty confident murder bad. I think that's a cross-cultural murder, just murder, not killing, not right?
Yeah.
But murder bad. Cool. That's a good foundational piece. Maybe we could lock in on murder. Don't murder. Train the AI. We don't have to have the nuance of don't eat fish except on Fridays or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm just getting this in right now. It looks like the image on Facebook is frozen, but the image going out live appears to be working well.
Ah, Jess, if you can hear us.
Because it looks like this. And I have tried...
you have hit the refresher button, hey?
I have tried the thing, but... it could just be my phone. I don't know. The numbers keep going up, but the picture doesn't change. Right, so that was me stalling for time while I think about answering your question.
Yeah, that was like a little bit out there. It was just a suggestion from a tangential thing. Like I get that probably the people programming my computers have taken some ethics courses because doctors do. Things that deal with brains tend to.
Unfortunately, less than you would hope. Like in my perfect world, if you obtain a degree from a university, it should be required that you at very least take the functional equivalent of Philosophy 1000 or Philosophy 101, which covers things like ethics and structured thinking and arguments.
I mean, yeah.
Because having some exposure to those things requires you to actually think about them, and then you can apply them. You can apply them for good or for evil, I guess, but currently it's like just sort of an option for most people, and I think it should be a requirement. But that's a from a university. My thoughts about university.
Yes,
coming out of a technical institute, it's less about thinking about how and why, and more about just getting stuff done. Right? We don't. If you were to take if you're going to be a mechanic, let's say, seems like a good thing, like heavy duty mechanic. You don't take a lot about the philosophy of internal combustion engines.
No, the history thereof, etc.
Not a lot. You will get a little bit of history along the way. You'll get a little bit of the physics and chemistry along the way, but you're not going to learn the fluid mechanics and the metallurgy and all the other parts about the parts, because that's what engineers do, or that's what people who study that stuff do. You learn how to get it done, right? And a lot of people approach. It is my opinion that the people who approach computer science tend to approach it in terms of the just get it done, and less about the broader implications. Now, this is not true of everyone, but what we tend to see, especially in the business world, because our computing seems to be all about enabling business to do what business does better. Leaving aside the two most lucrative industries in computing, gaming and pornography.
Yes.
But even then, we're doing it so somebody can make some money. And the model for those things is, how do we make more money? And the model for computing science is, how do we make things more efficient? Right? It's at its very surface, computer science has been about, how do we automate things that were not previously automated? How do we quickly do tasks that previously required a human to work laboriously?
Yes.
So, and this has taken many forms. I point at computing artifacts in my very first lectures in Welcome to Computer Programming. Did you know that Leibniz invented a counting machine, right? Because he wanted to math faster.
Yep.
And Pascal took Leibniz's counting machine and made it do multiplications.
Which very cool.
I may have done this the wrong way around. I may have said that the wrong way around.
I think maybe.
Yeah, Pascal did the one, and then Leibniz did the other that did the same thing but multiplying, so that they could do their mathy things faster because they were interested in doing math. And when we fast forward to the Steam age, when Steam was all the rage, much like today, AI is today's Steam.
Not bad. Okay.
Right?
Yep. It is a pivot. I put it as a pivotal technology of our time.
Yeah. So
because Steam changed the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just sort of leaping for a moment past Jacquard and his great idea for making card loom. We had Charles Babbage and his patroness, as you would have called her in the day, Ada Lovelace. He designed, although did not ever get to implement, a steam-powered what he called difference engine, which was a steam-powered computer. And Ada Lovelace actually wrote programs that would have run on the machine if they'd have ever gotten around to building it, which they did within the last 15, 20 years. And it actually turns out that the thing he designed would have worked. It's steam-powered. It's not very fast, but it is faster than doing it by hand. And you can
sleep while it works.
And you can sleep while it works.
Well, somebody tends at steam levels.
Yeah. You just have to hire an engineer, like a steam engineer,
a chauffeur,
to keep it
warm. Yeah.
Right. So, and it's all about the pursuit of something else. It is rarely about pursuing its own thing.
Fun. That makes you unique because you're doing it because it's a thing you could do.
Yeah, I'm doing it because it's a thing I can do. But there's always another purpose, right? So the idea of using the technology to model something that a human does is not new. We've been doing that for a very long time, for a very, 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 very long time. And it's okay. I claim it's okay. And as soon as it's not a thing that's like mysterious and mystical, it stops being AI and starts just being part of the technology we use.
Yeah. So
if you'd like to speak to customer service, say customer service. Well, that's been around since the 80s.
Yep.
Easily since the 80s.
Voice recognition technology.
Please say yes or no. Please say yes or no.
Even 1990-ish telephile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And we don't think of that as being artificial intelligence, but at the time, although that wasn't the name we necessarily gave it, that's kind of what it was. And I will fall back on a sort of general definition of the word artificial, which means made by a person, generally to imitate something that would occur naturally.
Yes. Like artificial vanilla extract is a thing I've made that tastes like vanilla extract.
Yeah. So the third definition is disingenuous, fake.
Yeah.
Right? So like an artificial smile. It's manufactured and it's not intended to be an actual smile.
It's not an authentic
It is not
replication.
authentic. It is not natural.
Yeah.
It is presumed to be fake. Through semantic bleaching, artificial now also means fake.
Yeah. Okay.
And I will just keep pushing back and saying, hey, really what we want when we're thinking about artificial intelligence is it's just an intelligence that we've built. We don't really have we kind of have a good sense of intelligence. I think most people will treat intelligence like pornography, or like the U.S. Supreme Court treats pornography.
Don't know what it is, but I'll know it when I see it.
I know it when I see it,
Yeah.
right? So we would say that a puppy that can figure out how to get treats is intelligent. If we make our computers exactly that smart, would we say that computer is intelligent? Probably we wouldn't.
Probably not. No,
Right?
we would say that's a stupid computer because it's only puppy smart.
It's only as smart as a puppy. But we would say that that's an intelligent puppy.
Yes. Yes.
And that's okay because that's natural.
So is that... And we're very rarely frightened by puppies.
Well, it depends on who you are and depends on the puppy. But yes, you're right.
Very
Generally
rarely.
speaking.
Yeah.
I'm very rarely frightened by humans.
True.
Right.
Although humans are potentially the most frightening thing.
I am concerned by the effect that some humans will have on our continued human existence. I try and remind myself not to be too anthrocentric.
It's tough. I'm a little bit speciesist. Yeah, for sure. Like I will, like if the ants invade my home, I bet I win. And I bet I think it's a war, and I'll for sure get the first battles out of the way.
I bet you win that battle, but I bet you do not win that war.
I personally can win the war. I'll be dead though. They'll win. They are one of my top contenders to take over the planet if humans weren't there. Them and snakes, it'd be good go-rounds. Because snakes breed well.
Yeah.
And they've been around a while. Like a lot longer
really
than
breeding.
No, we're not bad. It just takes us too long.
We're pretty selective.
We can be, but it turns out in survival moments we're really abhorrent about it, and we just get all rapey and weird.
Yep.
But it just takes too long for us to make a new one that can take care of itself. Baby snake, they're out in a week and away they go, right? Like,
giraffes.
Yeah.
Again, it takes a while. But when they fall out and they land on their heads,
they get up and
then they're off and running and they go eat and they do other things. Horses.
Born running.
Yeah. Yeah. I like giraffe. They don't just have giraffe because they're taller.
And they're goofy.
And they're goofier looking. Right?
I feel like that getting out of the back seat of a small car.
Two in the front, two in the back.
I reserve comment. So I guess
two in the front, two in the back, because the elephants are in the refrigerator.
Footprints in the butter. Pokes in a Volkswagen.
So white smoke. So when people ask me, so what do you think about AI? Is AI going to take over the world? And that's the first question they want answered. I was
trying to dodge around mostly that. And get to it at sort of like the back end where people will be sitting there going, why was I worried about this?
So I'm going to reserve my answer to that till the end then.
Perfect. And I agree with you in terms of
interview boy.
The slippery slope of the wording. We've often said things like we've just substituted AI for computers in our speech, right? Oh, computers will figure that out in the future. Computers will do that. Now we just say AI can do this, AI does that. These are the things. We have to watch out for computers. Very good 80s phrase. Now we just say, oh, AI is going to be a problem. And it's not new. Alan Turing
in the 40s
pointed out that this could be the problem, that computers will be smarter than humans and we will have to come up with a new purpose.
Yep. He also suggested a slightly flawed, for various reasons, test that we could use to determine how smart, if it was as smart as a person.
The Turing test.
Yeah, and Searle came up with a great counter to that. that it was this Searle's Chinese room or Chinese box thought experiment, where you put Chinese characters in, and you get Chinese characters out that are sensible. So a Chinese speaker would not know the difference talking to this box. But what's happening inside the box is there's a guy in there with a very fast codex and set of rules and just reads the characters, does a bunch of work, and spits it all back out. He doesn't speak Chinese.
He's just transferring the characters.
All he's doing is manipulating the characters.
So this is a brilliant thing. So
does the room understand Chinese?
Yeah.
It receives it in Chinese. It responds in accurate Chinese. Does the room understand Chinese? We would all say no.
This is, I think that's where I would envision the step between what we currently call AI and what I believe an artificial generalized intelligence would be, is that the AGI knows what it's saying. It understands that it is in its place having that conversation. Whereas an AI is currently, as I believe it to be, language models and just deep neural net type things for larger language modeling, basically. And so then if I understand correctly, when we are making these large language models, it gets a little bit like out of the control of the programmer, a little bit, because it takes all these little chunks. Like I said, hi, my name is Jeff. And it plucks all that out and it puts it into little thoughtful chunks that are related, and it knows completely how it's related. But if I were to look at it, I would be looking at sort of a disparate galaxy of information bits, and no, this is hi, and way over there is Jeff, and somewhere over here my name is, and the computer can do all this. But I couldn't be like a doctor and put a dye pack on hi, my name is Jeff, and then watch it and see where it goes.
You could, but it would be computationally inefficient, so we don't build that.
Yeah, we use proxies.
Yeah.
To model the things that are just not...
We also do that with humans when we're trying to find out what a human brain is doing.
Exactly.
We use proxies.
We put things in to see how it works, right? And that's what I was wondering.
But we also do it we also do it sort of looking at, I'm going to call it the epiphenomenon of thinking, right? So you will go see a psychologist or psychiatrist, depending on
bent and affordability.
Yeah, how much benefits it cover?
Yeah.
You'll go see a mind doctor, not a brain doctor, but a mind doctor, and the mind doctor has no access to the room.
Exactly.
And they will say things, and you will say things, and then they will interpret the things that you say as an effect of the thing that's happening in your mind.
Yeah.
/ brain, depending on whether you're talking about a mind person or a brain person. And that's fine. And that's one. So this is one aspect. Like we all in the media, we talk about ChatGPT is AI.
Yes, we do.
Right, and it's sure that is true enough. That is absolutely true enough. A battery stores electricity.
True enough.
True enough. It is not.
Well, I was making that same sort of comparison right away, actually. Battery, right? The same that you're saying you don't need to know the metallurgy, the everything else about it. But everybody uses a battery.
Yep.
You got your phone, you're using a battery. Do you care about that battery? Do you care that kind of technology is
magic.
8,000 years old?
That magic is amazing.
And do we sit there and go, well, lithium only has one free radical, but vanadium has 3. So in a power efficiency ratio, it's more efficient to use vanadium, but vanadium's heavier. Right? So we don't actually care about those things. We don't go, oh well, there's a depletion rate and I lose this much percentage.
Somebody does.
They built the product, right? The rest of us want to be using it, right? And we want it to not blow up when we charge it.
Yeah. I really want to lean into my my possibly, arguably poor representation of Searle's argument. but it's actually a great metaphor for how AI works today. What you're looking at when you're using the Chat GPT or any other chat interface is you are treating that program as Searle's box.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right? There are some symbols, there are some rules, and when I put in some tokens, I get out some tokens, and by the rules of the box, I get sensible-ish enough tokens back.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that's good. That's great. But the thing that gets ellipsed in this is, how did those rules come to be?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right. This is the other part of the equation that people just kind of gloss over when they're talking about the brilliance of ChatGPT. ChatGPT is not a large language model. ChatGPT,
It's a chat bot.
uses large language models.
Yeah.
Other chat interfaces are the box. The large language model is a ostensibly learned set of rules about a language.
Cool. Ponder that for a moment. As we're halfway through our fun-filled hour, we may or may not be blowing up the universe today. Now, we're just chatting about technology and practical application, and it's probably way safer than most people think it is.
AI?
AI.
Oh.
Aye, puppy. AI pappy. Oh, that's not what that says.
Had a farm.
His
AI,
friend,
AI-O.
he had a friend, and I can't think of his name. Moody. Can't think of it. But he also had the similar sort of. He at first was like, "This will be great, and it'll save us all this labor." And he was like, only if we let it.
The washing machine, the automated clothing washer.
Oh, that was like a yay boo invention all at once. That was to liberate women.
Yep.
Anyway,
freed them up to do other things.
Yeah.
Computers didn't shorten our workday.
Nope. They didn't make a paperless society either.
No, despite lack of trying.
Not yet. I mean, at least we have digital contracts now.
Pretty much eliminating anything you could make paper from would make a paperless society.
Mm-hmm.
We still like to write things down because the ephemeral is
currently a thing that's part of the zeitgeist.
Yeah. Oh, then we get back to memetics.
Mm-hmm.
We get to transfer things because somebody told somebody told somebody. That would be great.
I mean,
and then
we're here now because of it.
Yeah, and
we're stuck here now because of it.
What do you call a book club that's stuck on one book forever? Church.
So here's a premise for you. It's a barbarian, but he's not the chosen one, and he can't pull the sword from the stone. So he just picks it up and uses it like a giant club. So I mean, we just because we have.
Why has this never happened? Why have I never seen this?
I'm just. It's a thing.
Dave the Barbarian.
But I mean, so even if we have tools and we have proper ways to use them, that we decided that the proper way to use this magic sword is to extract it from the stone. Maybe not.
Why didn't they just remove the stone from the sword?
Right, I agreed 100%. Why don't we bust out the chisel? Ding, 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 ding. I don't know.
Magic rock.
Magic rocks.
Yeah, so
I got those from a guy on Saturday.
The sword was just a regular sword. It was the stone that was
magical. Funny. We can change all the stories. Oh, we're changing all the stories.
That is a great
story.
So
to me, because I'm lazy, all of these like LLM accessing machines, now that I think I understand it this much better, would be a great tool for lazy writer me, right?
Yeah.
Like all I really want to do is get my idea out there. I don't need a stunning masterpiece. It doesn't need to be beautiful. I don't even need to like, I don't know.
So you want a thing, you have a good idea of the thing that you want,
yep.
But you're going to outsource the labor.
Yeah.
Oh, we call that restaurants.
Yeah, we call that business.
Right.
We get offended the further you outsource the labor, though. We start feeling like you're taking away from your local economy if you put that labor out there too far.
Yeah, so-
I'm not unconvinced, though, that
So
something across the
please-
World Wide Web is like a much larger share of my labor than
If
anything else.
if you are so concerned about machines taking away the labor of others, please get a rickshaw
Ooh.
and hire a rickshaw driver.
Also, throw your clogs into the gears.
That sounds like sabotage to me.
It really does.
The age of the sabot
Yes.
and other kinds of sailboats.
I was going to say a really crappy sailboat.
Yeah.
It looks like one.
It
That's
looks-
the problem.
Yeah.
It sails like one.
Okay, so if I construct this machine to make my life better, I have artificially created something that simulates intelligence to do a task that I want to automate. Now, let's just say I can automate it and it does it the exact same speed that I can do it.
Okay.
Pretend.
Yeah. Like I have
That's still good because then I don't have to use my time to do that thing. The machine can use that time to do the thing, and I can make a whole bunch of machines, so I can do it a whole bunch of times over and over again, and that saves me time.
Yeah.
Let's claim that's good. Let's just suppose for a second that that's good. What does that hurt? Right? And we do it for very specific things, right? Like if you've ever Google Maps, I don't know if Google Maps is a thing.
Google Maps is a thing.
Can I verb that?
Yes, but you have to put a break, so it has to be like Google Maps, right? Like plug in, right? The verb and then its direction.
Yeah. So when I mapped that thing,
Yes.
because I did in the past, I'm using some kind of specialized artificial intelligence. It's probably using some variant or extension of Dijkstra's algorithm to find an optimal cost path between where I am and where I'd like to be. Right. So off we go and do the thing. It's great. It's fine, and we're super keen on that. But it's going to take over the world.
Oh, yes. Yep.
How is a map program going to take over the world? Because all it knows how to do is the mapping. It will. I mean, we still have humans that go out and do the thing. I suppose we get an autonomous vehicle to go do that. But that autonomous vehicle is going to take over the world. But still not certain how, because really it only knows how to
drive and take pictures of the
itself
land.
and then maybe also take pictures. Although there's a separate system that's attached that takes the pictures.
And that's what I like about modern archaeology. So to me, that sort of technological AI, and basically I would suggest this is because it's not, because it is. It's just doing the thing. So I've done my LiDAR data, I've done my sound equipment stuff, I've done all of my photos, and it can put that together for me. It's clever. It's been made to be clever to do that. That program, though, that assembles this beautiful 3D image that makes sense to the modern human eyeball, isn't going to take over the world. It's going to make really beautiful pictures of the things that we gave it information to make pictures from.
Yeah, and I'm gonna come back to the cereals box notion. There's two parts at play here. One is the part that does the interesting work that we care about, that presents as intelligent.
Yeah, the picture of the 3D picture it rendered.
And for the first 50-ish years of artificial intelligence, we the computer science artificial intelligence research collective, discollective bunch, spent a lot of time handcrafting rules. We went out and studied behaviors.
Big signed item out there somewhere too.
We studied the things. We brought in subject matter experts to tell us the rules that our magic boxes needed to follow in order to simulate intelligence. Right. So there are some great non-directed therapy rules. Like if you were again in the world of being a psychologist, So you do non-directive therapy or redirective therapy. So how are you doing today, Jeff?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Why do you say you're doing well today?
Because based on every day that I wake up, this is much like most of them.
Is it good that it's like most of them?
Yes, I don't really enjoy surprises that way.
Why don't you enjoy surprises?
It might imply that I am unwell.
Oh, do you think you're unwell?
Nope. That's why I'm doing well.
Well, that's good.
See, right? Look at me circle back.
Right, but that's
a chatbot. I just had a chatbot interaction. It's very much like this.
Right. I set up this set of rules in my head. Mm-hmm. I will find the object of the sentences, and I will make a new question that directly references the object of the previous sentence.
What's fun with the modern ones, I love that they try to make them conversational, and that they give me uhs and ums. I love that, right? I feel that the intent behind that, that's why you're here, is to actually make me be more conversational with it, right? You would like
to feel more at ease.
Yeah, it wants me to feel more at ease.
It is attempting to build a bridge across the uncanny valley.
Yes, it absolutely does, and I think it's crazy cool that it has been built to do that. Like, I don't think it's sitting there going, breathe now. I think it just has a probability of however many words or when a question that it literally, I believe, because it's searching for the answers, right? Like, it has some answers. If I were to think of a defrag program, right, where we have the whatever billions of filing cabinets, right? And we've emptied some of those file folders out, but we didn't remove those file folders, so it still goes looking through them. But a lot of the common use stuff.
That's a great analogy.
A lot of the front file folders are the common information, so it gets to those right away. If it has to make it past these empty folders, it starts having this moment, and it says that, right? It knows that it's taken longer than what its prompt time is allowed to be, so it puts in a filler word just like a human would.
When they do the same thing.
Exactly the same thing. When we're looking for the word, when we're trying to find the answer, we give ourselves pause words.
Yeah. And again, that's great. And in the history of artificial intelligence, most of it was about the research end was all about finding out ways to build an optimal set of rules that modeled what we wanted our machine to behave like. Where that moved to was automating developing the rule set. Right? We used to do this all by hand. You'd build a prompt tree, or you do all those sorts of, and there are still a lot of things that we build by hand because we're good at figuring out good enough heuristics for so many things. And we've got a history of it, and we could just pull one out. But part of the artificial intelligence research is also about discovering ways to learn the things that humans have learned. So it's this is the other part. This is how do you build the rules that run Searle's box, right? And that's where we get large language models. Like Mikolov in 2014, 15, 16, 17, somewhere in about there, forgive me, said, hey, you leaned on some linguistic notions like you know the meaning of a word by the company it keeps. Right? And went, okay, well, if I can take a body of text, starting from the beginning and going to the end, and what I will do is I will look at a window of this stuff. I'll look at the first, let's arbitrarily, for simplicity's sake, say 5 words. I'll grab the first word, and I go, I will have no idea what the first word is. I'm just going to guess. And we can eventually learn the most statistically likely word to be the first word in a sentence, or the first 2 words, or the second word given the first word.
Right? The predictive text capability stuff.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, and there's we've discovered algorithms that do that fairly efficiently. The Viterbi algorithm is usually the one that they trot out when you're learning about doing this sort of thing. And what Mikolov et al. Did, they said, all right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this window, we're going to take some number of tokens before and some number of tokens after, and we're just going to guess what the token in the middle is. And then we're going to look and we're going to figure out, and we're going to say, okay, we guessed, but we were wrong. And sometime when we read these tokens and these tokens, we will make a better guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to move over one set, remove the window over by one token. So I know the word that I just guessed, but I've corrected it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to attempt to guess the one based on
Mm-hmm.
these sets of tokens. And we're going to go through billions and billions and billions of words that are used in language and learn the likelihood of the word in the context of that window.
Neat. That is the thing I was talking about, I think.
Yeah.
I pointed towards where the statistical probability is different than the theory of language, right?
Yes.
Like, so we're not building this on language theory,
Yeah, carry on.
specifically language theory.
No, you're right.
But it's that we're building it on statistical modeling of language use.
Yeah, there's two strong camps in linguistics. There are people who try to model functional things. They try and look at how we use it and build rule sets based on that. And then there are statistical linguists, and they don't normally see eye to eye on anything.
No, I would imagine no, like especially like because I can come up with a bold statement like that, and because I'm not in either of those fields.
Right. But you're right. So there's a difference between just building a rule based on what you've observed, which can lead you down some terrible garden paths.
Absolutely.
Like,
by and large, I think people are good.
yeah,
We don't need rules.
Even language rules. Like, so one mouse, two
Mice.
one house, two.
Well, it depends on if we're talking about the plural groups of people that belong to a house, or if we're talking to a number of buildings. So, like,
But neither of them is going to be heist.
that is incorrect. Actually, like, plural house Grahams is heist Graham.
Not in conversational English today.
No, that's very true.
Right.
But that's just a rule change, not that word didn't exist or wasn't
I'm not
used.
saying the word didn't exist.
It's just not in current
the
usage.
rules, the way we do it.
The rules. Yes,
Right, and that's the thing.
The dictionary guy who just looks at people when they say, "Hey, dictionary guy, can you solve this for me?" He says, "No." I write down how it's currently used.
Yep.
That's what I do. It's not a history book. It's a current usage book.
In linguistics, there was a cool linguistic experiment, and they show you this picture of this cute little bird-like shaped thing.
Is it the invented language thing?
No.
Oh, I love the invented
Well, I
language
mean, it's
thing.
a little bit invented, but it's like, and they said this is a wug.
Yeah. But this is how we would learn to communicate with aliens. I'm sorry.
And
Same research.
So this is a wug, and then you show them, and you would say this is what? And most speakers of most languages would take wug and make wugs in their language. Why? Because wugs is the plural of wug.
Yeah,
Why?
yeah.
Because that's how we use it.
Like, I'm pretty sure the only difference is if you showed Norwegian, it'd be wooked because they use T's instead of S's to pluralize. But,
Right.
like, it's that obvious, right?
Right.
The
But-
other thing cool, though, in that same sort of thing is they did that with, like, 30 things. They said, this is the name of the thing, and then they showed you back and you had to say what the thing was, and then whatever your word. And then they would do that for, like, 100 people, and they would tell them what the word was, how they wanted it said.
Yep.
Then they would just show it back. And then what they did is they took all of these answers and mushed them and made that the new word to represent
That thing.
these things. And eventually there was a common word usage that everybody could remember about wugs or wug. But yeah. So that's how you would learn to communicate with aliens. Same idea. You just have a picture, you call it a thing, they say it the best they can, you come up with a compromised word, go.
Oh, so that's actually how all language works.
Well,
Probably.
I guess also extraterrestrials when I say aliens, I guess.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah,
Alien
yeah.
to the planet.
But also alien to each other, right? Like that's how we come up with common languages like Old English, Middle English,
Yep.
Chancery English.
Yeah. So I was going somewhere with this.
Sorry.
Oh, right. So we're constructing the rule set, right? So from a statistical linguistics point of view, this whole word embeddings that we've built, which are basically like a number of levers that we pull the lever, cronk. We move the levers just enough, like a graphic equalizer, that based on its relation to a bunch of other words, so we can best guess in a context window, this is what this word means. And it's great. We let us do some word math. So king minus man plus woman equals queen, right? And it works enough. Like, it's the closest approximated word using cosine similarity or some other measures of similarity. Math. Mostly doesn't matter. But we can do this. We can do this math on words, and that's great. And it's a set of rules that we can follow to manipulate the tokens. Because if I can predict what comes in a window, I can also predict some other things. So we're gonna use some hidden Markov models. Basically, the idea is we don't really know what's gone on necessarily. Like, we don't know what we're going to see next. But given that we've seen this and this and this, we're likely to see this thing. And given that we've seen this and this and this and this new thing, we're likely to see this next thing. And so we can use these models both predictively and generatively. We can use the model to say, we think the next word is this.
Right. So that's my auto prompt on my phone.
Yeah.
Versus make me a poem about.
Right.
Following roughly the same language rules.
Right.
But
and our brains actually probably do this too. Right. When I learn language, I don't learn a word in isolation typically.
Yeah. No.
Right. I will learn it in context. If I want to remember that word, I need to learn that word in some kind of context.
Suddenly I have a page-a-day calendar in front of my toilet, and I'm learning that one word in isolation. But you have to go out of your way to do it, is what the point is.
Yeah, but you learn that one word. But then when are you going to use that? How are you going to remember to use that one word?
Ooh, yeah.
In the place where it needs to be used.
Like, you use it lots prior.
Yeah, but
ubiquitously.
But you use it in a context.
Yeah, I try to.
Right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
The context will always matter, probably.
While I was learning my page of the day word, I learned this word.
Yep.
And that's still in context. The context is I'm learning words. Like, it's not
right, but then you can't generalize that.
I can't say
difficult context to generalize.
Right.
So it'll be difficult to generalize that use.
Right.
Right. So one of the things that we seem to be good at as humans is we are good at skill transference, knowledge transference, domain transference. I call it the dodgeball. Right. I teach my students this in terms of transferable skills. I say, learn to do this thing here today. Yes, it's hard, but it is exactly similar to a ton of other things that you will do in this industry. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Yeah.
Right? And humans are remarkably good at this.
Yeah, I'm good at dodging wrenches.
Right. So you have changed a battery in a car.
Yes.
Have you changed a battery in the space shuttle?
No.
Do you think you could?
Yes, right away.
Why do you think you could? Because you've done it in the context of a
everything else,
of a car.
Yeah.
And it is the same. It is exactly similar.
And also, like, I want to use that example because I have experience with that battery changing. So much so that I've dealt with the internal workings. Like, I don't just do the hardware, I do some of the software. So that's where I feel like, yeah, right? I think there isn't probably a battery thing I might not have the technology or materials to fix the battery issue, but I will have an understanding of what needs to be fixed in the battery issue, regardless of your battery.
Right. So you also, peripherally, have knowledge of charging systems, of
this is where I can relate.
Power shifting.
This is where I relate to the very finely tuned scientists.
AC versus DC.
Oh, yeah.
Right? All of the parts that are peripherally related to batteries, but they're all part of the thing. And in that context, that's great. Now, if you were to move to the world of physiology, right? So if someone is having difficulty making their arm do a thing because they're not getting a signal, everything about you will say, oh, that's probably an electrical problem. The signal is not getting from the brain to the muscles. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And you're not wrong, but it's not the same thing.
No.
But you're able to generalize that thing.
Yes. Yeah. We do that with smell. I think that's maybe a really easy comparison for you to make, right? Like, hey, what does this taste like? Kind of like chicken. What does this smell like? It has that sort of ozone-y, right? Like we always try and generalize back to the bigger thing that others will understand.
We build our context. And
Absolutely.
I don't want to draw this back to your 5 words.
No, but essentially.
And essentially that's it. Like, is it sweet, sour, bitter, salty? Right?
We've done this with food. These are the 5 tastes.
Yeah. Right. So, and there's all those things in there. And so now that we have like just 3 minutes left, I don't know exactly how many we have. Well, 5 minutes it says. Yeah. So is AI going to kill us all? Well,
yes. Whether or not it's a computerized one that we did, or if it's just necessarily something artificial by the nature of man-made, not necessarily computer chips, right?
Yeah,
like,
so
I feel like an abacus is as likely to kill me as any other.
Well, if it's big enough and it falls from a great enough height.
Yeah, but I think it is that sort of thing. I will give you this one. Because there are some that think AI is never going to happen. Full AGI, self-aware machines, never going to happen. There are some. There's a small but loud handful in the community, according to my Wikipedia fun. Mm-hmm. But there is a group of the groups that think it's going to happen. It seems to have 2 kinds of things going on. One is we need to create these limits, these models, these things, and eventually we will see where the interweavings go and we can assemble that. Then there's another group that believes we have this large language model, and if we kind of make it a little bigger and we give it more chat interfaces and we help people negotiate with it more, it will eventually sort of ghost in the machine itself. And surprising to me was that that's almost an even split in the community. That there are the builders and there are the dreamers, and I don't think either are necessarily wrong, and I'm probably like everything else in the universe, it's somewhere in the middle of those 2 things.
I see a lot of similarities, and it's like the ghost in the machine problem, the spark of soul, if you wish.
Yeah. I was really dodging that word hard.
Well, it's fine. It's a fine concept to talk about.
Yes, it absolutely.
It's just really difficult to actually figure out how it could ever work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying we can't figure it out.
No,
but maybe we can't. It's in mathematics there are problems that are hard, and there are problems that are a different kind of hard. Mm-hmm. There are probabilistic and non-probabilistic problems.
NP hard.
Yeah, so things that are NP hard are really hard, and everything that's in the space of probabilistic problems that are P, everything that's in P can be reduced to something else in P. Mm-hmm. And things in NP can be reduced to other things in NP, but we do not have any known cases of something that is NP hard being reducible to being P. Mm-hmm. If we could find one, we have solved the whole problem, because every NP hard problem could be cast as another NP hard problem. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? It's not convenient, but it can be done. We have demonstrated, proven in the sense of mathematical proof that it can be done.
Nuts and bolts.
So the point I want to get to here is that the ghost in the machine, the spark of soul, the thing that marks something as intelligent, I claim is in the NP hard category. Mm-hmm. Okay. Approximately. Mm-hmm. And that where we are right now is we are chomping at the most efficient methods in the P category for constructed intelligences. Right, we are. I would rather use the phrase constructed intelligence, but nobody knows what I'm talking about.
True.
Right, so we're constructing
# constructed intelligence. Start the trend.
Yeah, we are building things that are trying to be
I like that.
Perfectly intelligent, like we are, whatever that means, but we don't know how to push beyond that gap.
Right.
Right? And again, much like pornography, we won't know it till we see it, and everybody's going to go, yeah, that's not it.
So in that same thing, though, we see how intelligence is developed, and we think that ours is unique and special because we like to have introspection, and that does help us. It helps us with our future problem solving. It's a cool thing. I didn't have free will, but part of that is my being introspective and changing my courses forward. Perhaps goldfish don't have introspection, but they do have intelligence. Perhaps. I'm just perhapsing.
10-second memory.
Well, they actually, see, that one's wrong.
Well,
but that's the same sort of thing, right? We just assume we're going to colloquially go goldfish dumb, but not.
They could be hyper intelligent.
They could be
but
way
they just
smart.
can't remember it.
And exactly.
Yeah.
And so that would be one of those things, and what we might look for going forward in our NP hunt of constructed intelligence is the goldfish.
Yeah.
Instead of going straight to where's the human in there, we might look for where's the goldfish in there.
Yeah. I guess closing for today, I got to say, I don't think that we're going to find that silver bullet and make an actual intelligence that we think is as smart as we are. I certainly don't think that we're going to make one that's going to supersede us. My prediction is not in my lifetime. I don't have lots of years left, but I'm not.
A handful, like 40.
I'd like to have close to as many left as I've already used. That'd be great. Thanks. But I don't think in my lifetime we will get to the point where we go, oh yeah, this is a.
The Supreme Intelligence has decided that we're planting wheat this year.
Yeah, we're not. I don't think we're going to get there.
We're not surrendering our politics to the AI just yet.
And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I can absolutely live with that. That's what science is about: is learning the correct way to be wrong.
That sure helps. It sure helps.
So
nothing like being fully authorized to make all the mistakes you wish.
Constructed intelligence, good. Artificial specific intelligence.